y'all not late night? I don't know if Venus is working.
That's
I mean, that's a really good arm. One of the best, most talented arms we faced all season. So you have to give our guys credit. I want to give Coach Jackson and Coach Wiersbicki a ton of credit. They worked their tails off. I'm so blessed to have the staff that I have. Those two guys had our hitters prepared. Obviously, this guy isn't a hitter. But, you know, a great example is Sam over here. He hadn't really started a game in that two-strike stance all year. The coaches, as soon as he got done the cages, said, hey, you're DHing, and just, you know, that's what we want you to do right off the bat. That was a huge swing of the bat. You know, we scored all those runs with 2 outs. I mean, I thought our guys were locked in all night. They have a really, really good team. But that was a great win for our guys. I'm excited to watch them again tomorrow. I'm glad that we get to recover with it being a late game, but I did tell them it's going to be the hardest game of the season. You have to expect it to be that way. But that was a really good win for us.
Questions, Tommy in the front row, then Adam back right.
Coach George, we talked all year, and you've been consistent that your team hits the fastball pretty good. And then they go out and do it tonight right out of the gate. What did you guys see in prep for Witherspoon? What did you see getting ready, and how did you get Coach Jackson and Wiersbicki to get guys like Sam to sort of implement it?
I mean, it's more them. I trust them, and they just hand me the sheet on what we're going to do, what our approach is going to be, and I stay out of the way. I just go back in the coaches in the cages and ask the guys how they're doing. You know, build them up, make sure they're ready, make sure they're confident, keep them loose. You know, and a little birdie apparently was saying that we couldn't hit 95, so I think the guys took that personally. But their approach, you know, they stuck with it throughout the whole time he was out there. And Sam can tell you more about that, but they did a really good job of listening to Coach Wiersbicki. He told them where to stand on the plate. We need to start choked up right out of the gate and set the tone by just having quality at bats. And sometimes when you face an arm like that, you're so amped up that you're just too big with your swings. We showed him some video of guys that have had success against him, what they did, and they let the ball come to them. And you know, you notice some of the balls we hit early were opposite field. Gavin drilled that ball to right, and Sam hit the home run to left. But still, the players have to do it, so I have to give them the credit.
Adam, then Rod.
Sam, can you take us through that first at bat that led to the 3-run homer? And along the lines of what Scott is talking about, did you think overall at the plate, you guys sort of were looking forward to the challenge of facing Witherspoon? Did you think you guys wanted it tonight?
That's obviously a really, really good arm, and goes pretty hard. So Coach Wiersbicki told us all in the cages. He said, "Hey, just be on time for the fastball." And when I walked up there to the plate, I looked over at Coach Forbes and he did a nice big breath and told me just to relax and be in that moment. And that was really good for me and to be in that moment. So I was trying to be on time for a fastball. So.
Rod.
Sam, 2 home runs coming into tonight. You get 2 home runs tonight. I'm sure you dreamed of these kind of moments when you decided to commit here. What was it like to see it come to fruition on a night like this?
I mean, just as we were getting ready for the game, looking up in that Carolina baseball crowd, that's them being there for us, and that cheering really got us going in the beginning, and that's really what it's all about. It's fans. So.
Sam, how much confidence does this give the rest of the lineup, considering Witherspoon came in with 120 strikeouts and only 20 walks, moving on throughout the rest of the regions?
I mean, that's just a challenge, like everyone's saying, and that really fired us up, and we wanted to prove that we can beat an arm like that. So,
Ryan and Grace.
Sam, can you talk a little bit about what Coach Forbes was saying in terms of that change to your stance and kind of preparation leading up to this game?
yeah, so it's 98 miles an hour, so I just really trying to see the ball as best I can. So as I was taking BP, I felt pretty good, and Coach Wiersbicki gave me the idea. He said, "Hey, just to see the ball a little bit better, why don't you try widening out a little bit and not striding?" And I saw that first pitch and felt pretty good about it, and I didn't miss that fastball. So,
Grace, then Kip.
Jason, we've talked about your mental fortitude dealing with runners on, and obviously 8 strikeouts are big, but how big was it for your game that there were 0 walks?
Obviously, that's huge. Credit to the offense for going out and giving me an early lead to work with. It makes it a lot easier to just go after guys. And again, credit to them and credit to the defense behind me for being elite all season and able to trust them like that. It's pretty special.
Yeah, Sam, it seemed to us that part of the approach tonight was not to get deep in counts, to go after early pitches. Did that play into it at all?
Yeah, our mindset is just attack. Coach Forbes tells us all the time, go out there and attack, always be on the hunt. So that's really what we were looking forward to, just to see a fastball and go get it. So.
Sam, Coach Forbes has also talked about, if you have a big first inning, you still have tons of baseball to go, the game's not over. So what was the mindset? You have a lot of momentum from that first inning, but also not getting too ahead of yourself.
Yeah, we had a great first inning, and it's just like I said, always being on the hunt. And we had Jason there, so we knew we were going to have a good outing, and he's going to keep that score low for them. So it's just always being ready to go and just keep scoring runs at the end of the day. So.
Sam, talking about your season as a whole, how were you able to sort of rebound and come out with a performance like this? What kind of work did you put in?
Just the stuff we do every day. Coach Forbes told me I was playing, so get that opportunity, try to do the best I can to help the team.
Yeah, and then Adam, then RL.
Coach, the ACC is the only Power 4 conference that survived both days of the NCAA tournament. Can you talk about how much depth there is in this conference and how maybe some teams feel like they got cheated out of hosting or not even being in the regionals?
Yeah, I've been saying it from the get-go this year. I've been in the league a long time, and I always felt like there were years where you kind of had an idea like, hey, we're going to get this series, or we can mix in a sweep to make up for being swept. This year, anybody could beat you, and it hadn't been like that all the time. And that's a credit to our league, a credit to the commitment people are making to baseball, credit to the really good coaches and great players. But that league prepared us. I really felt like, I told our guys, we saw arms like not quite like that, but pretty dang close in our league, especially out of the bullpen. Prescott for Florida State was throwing every pitch 97 to 99, might have touched 100. Obviously, Jamie Arnold is who he is, and some others. But the league prepares you too, because so many teams play different styles. You look at a team like Louisville that steals a ton of bases, BC steals a ton of bases, and then you got a team like Duke that's just older, that's powerful. So NC State, teams throughout our league, Clemson that run a lot, the ACC's gotten so much better. And I said it earlier, I really felt like Georgia Tech should have hosted. Somebody told me they did lose, so obviously, but I still believe in them, and I think our league is as good, top to bottom, as any conference in the country.
I've got 4 more, and that's it. Adam, RL, Tommy, and Grace. Adam?
Scott, who was the little bit birdie that said you couldn't hit 95?
I can't give you my sources, but I can tell you that I'm really proud of this guy to my left. Here's a guy that has been one of the best hitters in Division III baseball, like one of the best, and had an unbelievable fall for us, an unbelievable preseason. Started the year in the middle of the order, and it hasn't gone exactly as planned, but I tell you what, he is bought in to what UNC is about, and being about the team first. And there's no doubt in my mind that's why he was rewarded in a big situation like that.
Quick follow-up. Was there a tell with Witherspoon? It looked like you guys were seeing him very well early. Maybe he was tipping some pitches. I don't know. Might have been some thought to that.
I'm looking over there, and Chad Flack's in here, and he knows what I mean by this. Is sometimes as a coach, it's like you just walk in the cages, and it's like our dudes are freaking ready to go. I don't. No offense to anybody, I don't think it would have mattered. And I challenge them. Hey, we got to be like that every game this time of year. And that's how this group has been for the most part, especially the second half of the season, or really since Pitt. Doesn't mean we played great, but if anything, I just have to slow them down. But I can tell they are locked in, and as coaches, we just have to stay out of their way.
RL?
And Sam hadn't started back-to-back games since early April, but you started in the first 2 tournament games. Obviously, it worked out well, but what led you to go in that direction?
You know, I'm a firm believer, and I tell the guys, because you got to practice what you preach, is I watch everything as a head coach. I watch as much BP in the cages. I watch it on the field. I watch how deliberate you are in your conditioning when I'm in the weight room. That's why I like to go in there and walk on the treadmill when we lift. And, you know, sometimes a guy just looks really, really good, or he matches up. We felt like yesterday Sam really matched up well. But we also talked today about how much his confidence looked like it had gotten back to where it was, you know, in the preseason. And when that's the case, you know, at the end of the day, with these guys are so talented, that's about 70-75% of it. But again, I want to give credit to Coach Jackson and Coach Wiersbicki, because we looked at different matchups, and based on how Sam had been throughout the season, the matchup wasn't great on paper. Swing path wise, but his swing looked as good as it had been, and thank goodness we came up with that decision.
Coach, I mean, obviously you come in with a pitching plan in every game, and then a big lead sort of changes that. How did you deviate off of that, getting Cam some work and getting Ryan some work, and then how does that set you up for tomorrow?
Yeah, we're set up extremely well because of this guy. I think that was his career top strikeouts from what he told me. I was like, well, man, we got to get in double digits. But no walks. Jason just set the tone, and that's why we are set up so well. But it's also good to get guys. I thought Chewy looked really good, and he just had bad luck. You know, balls beat directly in the ground, and a guy bunting for a hit doesn't have a drag bunt on it all year. And then Ryan's a freshman, so I know a lot of people say, well, I hate that we had to use Lynch, but it's different pitching in those games, so I think it's going to work out for us. But we're set up to go. You know, we'll give Houck the ball tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Chris?
Jason, your entire day has been set up for this 6:06 first pitch. When you have a delay, what do you do during that delay to stay locked in mentally and make sure you're ready to physically go?
Try not to do too much. Sit in the locker room, relax a little bit, keep it light, play some games in there. And once you find out what time first pitch is, just try and get ready for that. Keep it the same.
All right, thanks everybody. Congratulations.
Thank
guys.
y'all.